Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite colorful palettes for neutral eyeshadow lovers. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. So what I mean by colorful eyeshadow palettes is palettes that aren't strictly brown. So I do have a much bolder option toward the end, but overall I just wanted to give those who only feel safe in the brown and neutral category, but who really do kind of want to try to branch out a little bit, or who might be considering branching out a little bit, some options. So let's just hop right into it. The first two I have are from ColourPop. The first one is the Making Mauves palette. I think for somebody who really loves neutrals, I think mauves are a really safe option. They're easy to work with, they're so pretty, they're leaning purple, but still a very safe approach to purple. You're not going to get too bold, it's not going to get too crazy, but it is going to be very flattering. And I find mauves to be particularly flattering if you have blue or green eyes. I do find mauves to be very beautiful. This is a really great start to that. ColourPop is of course super affordable, but I do think this Making Mauves palette is really pretty, and you do get some shimmers, but you can stick with an all matte look, but you can also just make it really beautiful with some of these shimmers. I really do love this. I think this is a great range. I think this is a great palette for somebody who's looking to just branch into a little bit more color but not too much. I think Making Mauves from ColourPop is a great option. Okay, so the rest of these are some pretty high-end palettes, but they are some of the very best in my collection. The first one is not a very colorful palette at all. It is still a very neutral, very safe palette, but this is the Nars Summer Unrated palette. I've talked about this one a lot the last month or so because I did pick this one up and I've really fallen in love with it. The formula is absolutely wonderful. The shadows are so blendable and easy to work with. They provide a lot of pigment, but again, they're just so easy to work with. So you do get these really safe browns over here, but you do get these shimmers and these pops of peach and pink. Very beautiful if you're looking to slightly just toe that line of color. But the pinks and the purples are of course a very safe way to do that, and this formula makes it easy to do so because they're so well formulated. They just look so beautiful. So I would highly recommend this one. If you can pick this one up, I would highly recommend it. I think this is such a great palette. And then our very recent release that is still pretty neutral is the new Anastasia Nouveau palette. So this one is also gorgeous. This one is very green leaning, and green is another color that for somebody who loves neutrals, green is a great option because it's still something other than brown, but it still has that earthy element that just kind of grounds everything. So I really do think greens are a great way to kind of step outside the comfort zone. You do get Fleur, which is a really beautiful, if you're near my skin tone, it's a beautiful transition shade as well. And then you get these greens. You do get this pop of purple, which is a very light lavender purple. You have to really build it if you want to get an overly purple look that is very easy to wear. You do get these more orangey tones here. Peacock is a shade that I don't really like that much. It's kind of like that browny purple that can really just make you look tired at the end of the day. I don't really need that. Wings is beautiful. It looks very green, but it's actually kind of like a silver green, so it's also got that unique feel to it. So I think this is a really great option as well if you're looking to expand outside that comfort zone. I think this is a really great option for that. I think mauves and greens and pinks are all very safe options when you're starting to explore color. That's where I went when I first started to explore color. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know I don't really do a ton of color. I stay within that brown and pink and purple and green range. Occasionally I'll do a brighter purple, but those are my safety zones. So the next palette is actually from Charlotte Tilbury, and this is the Instant Eye palette in Smoky Eyes Are Forever. This is another one that has those pinks and greens. You get a little bit of oranges, but she was careful not to put too many browns in here, which I like. And the reason why I mentioned Charlotte Tilbury is because there is something about her formula. You get pigment, but they're not overly punchy pigments. She just creates some the most wearable eyeshadows. And that's why I want to suggest this one, because while you do get some pinks and greens, this is a great way to explore green for sure, because again, her formula is just so unbelievably wearable. So you could totally put on a green look and feel completely comfortable. So that's one thing I really, really love about Charlotte's formula. There's just something about it. I don't think I've ever been able to fully put my finger on it, but there is something about this formula that just makes it so easy to wear. And Charlotte really doesn't come out with a ton of color. She really, really doesn't. She really sticks to that pillow talk pink and those browns and just the simple everyday shades that the everyday woman wants to wear. But when she comes out with something like a green, I think it's a great way to branch into that territory a little bit. So I really do think this is a really, really beautiful palette. So next I wanted to mention the Natasha Denona Retro palette. So Natasha Denona occasionally steps outside the comfort zone, and last fall she came out with the Retro, which is definitely a very dusty mauve type of palette. So this is very beautiful. You can stick with those brown tones. You can go pretty bold with some of these more red tone shades and this deeper purple here, but you can also just really, really keep it toned down. I did a look yesterday that to me was it was definitely very mauve, but I really, really like. I love to do nude mauve in the crease, deepen it up with Andy, and then just go all over with glitz. But sometimes I will also deepen up the outer edges even further with Groove, which actually looks more of a purple than it looks in here. And it's just such an easy palette to work with. Natasha Denona has one of my very favorite formulas, and I think it's so easy to work with and create looks. And this is one of my favorite ways to incorporate more color into my routine as well, just by using a mauve palette, and especially Natasha Denona, because her formula is so good. This next palette is definitely going to take us much more into that rosy territory, but again, the formula is so unbelievably good. This is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 Rose palette. So this was released this year. He did release an all brown neutral palette last year, but this one, the formula of this one is better than the formula of the original. So you do get these two cream shadows, and you do get some deeper tones here, but you also get these lighter mid-tone pinks around here, and then you get these really, really beautiful shimmers. If you wanted to play it super safe, you could easily stick in this matte range, but adding these shimmers just adds the most beautiful sparkle. His shimmers are absolutely stunning. So I think this is a great way to add in some of those more rosy, pinky tones into the routine with a really, really great formula that's going to make them easy to work with and easy to wear and make you feel confident when you wear them. So I think this is a great option as well. Okay, so this next palette takes us almost completely, entirely out of neutral territory, but it is one of my all-time favorite palettes, and because I'm a neutral lover and I love this palette, I feel safe mentioning it, but this is the Norvina Volume 5. So this is the almost entirely purple palette she came out with last year. So while they are some very bold purple tones in here, which is true, there is some very purpley tones. You do get a lot of browns, but these browns have a slight purple undertone, which I think is actually really, really beautiful. And the quality of these purples is so good. And I think if you're going to branch into purples, purple is a shade that is really hard to formulate. So in my opinion, you really want to go with a formula that you know and trust. This formula is incredible for purples. This palette is just so stunning. You can play it so safe and stay in this little quad if you want. You can play with these lighter purples, this type of gold shade here. They're all very, very beautiful, but if you're ready to really incorporate some purple, you can totally go very light, you can go very dark, you can create some really beautiful shimmery looks, you can do some beautiful matte looks with this. I think this is a really, really great way if you're ready to leap into purples, or if you've always wanted to try purple, this is a great way to do it. This is an expensive palette, but the reason I recommend this over any other purple is because the quality is incredible. Plus you get some browns. So if you find yourself kind of shying away from those purples a little bit, you will still get a lot of use out of these browns And there's, again, some pinkier tones as well, so you can totally get use out of those. There's a beautiful silver in here. So I really do think this is an incredible option if you're looking to expand into purples. You're going to get a great formula. It's going to be easy to work with. It's going to be such a great introduction to purple shadow. They are very pigmented, but as long as you know that, I think you're fine. So I would highly recommend this one as well. And that is it. Those are my more colorful palettes for those who are wanting to branch into color, or who are feeling a little shy of stepping outside that comfort zone, but you want something different in your collection. These are my favorites. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know down below if I missed any, or if you can think of any others in your collection that you think would be wonderful. Let me know. But that is it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate your time. And if you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. And that is it for me today. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!